What about now? All right, good. Brownie, you have to come back in. I don't know what happened then. Bloody Discord just shut itself for me. Yeah, sorry. Discord just shut itself for me, so I had to just wait. How about now? Yes, we should have sound now on YouTube because smart enough to turn it back on. Oh shit! Who said it was Macca's fault that we're no good on tech? Never mind. Welcome to the weekend wrap, and of course it's brought to you by CrowCast. A little bit of housekeeping to start off with. I will just mention that if you're watching us for the first time, it's not always this much of a rabble to start off with. You can like and subscribe if you like the content this evening. You can join us on Discord if you want to join our community. It's a great community, lots going on during the week, lots going on in our channel, tipping comps and stats and all sorts of stuff. So get around that and you should enjoy that content. And tonight, a slightly reformatted weekend wrap, gentlemen. Of course, those fans of the channel would know that we've kickstarted Tuesday Night Live again this year, which means that we've removed all of the non-Crows match related content from the wrap. So the wrap this year is all about the match that's just occurred. Brownie? So none of this talking about the club or the AFL or other games or whatever. We're just straight into the match.
Sounds good.
Can we talk about the power? Boss, can we talk about the power or not?
No, we're not talking about any other game except the Crows game. And that's a hard and fast rule. If you don't like it, big man, then stiff shit. I will put the current or last round scores up so that we can actually at least see that. I don't think it's updated for the Gold Coast game, but that wouldn't surprise me because no game's available. What the hell are you talking about? That's not true. That's not true. Why is that not true? Bit weird. Anyway, all right. So let me just quickly put up the ladder then. Can at least talk about the ladder. Comes up. Come on. Hurry up. Been a very inauspicious start. No ladder either. What's going on? No, maybe. Anyway, let's go straight into the game because it was a good game and it was a very good win. I'm assuming both of you saw the game.
Yep. It'd be pretty bad.
Thanks for that.
It'd be pretty bad if we didn't, boss.
Well, you know, stranger things. What do you think? What's your overall thoughts?
You go first, Brownie. Brownie there.
What is going on? Brownie, can you hear us?
Now I can. Before you were just a heap of jumbled noise. I can hear
What's
you
going
clear
on?
now.
Something's going on. Yeah. Right. What do you think about the game, Brownie? Overall thoughts before we get into the nitty gritty?
Overall thoughts. I thought, first half was just riddled with skill errors and like missing targets with the kicking, dropping easy marks. I thought we sort of got into it. I think the game changed, but overall, it was a really good performance in terms of when they came at us, we stuck at it, and to get a win after the start with injury, and playing at the G where we don't necessarily perform too well, I thought it was a fantastic result.
Big man, what do you reckon?
Yeah, pretty similar to Brownie. Like that first half, like we didn't make the most of our chances early, and we let them back in a bit. And there was a stage there late in the second where it just seemed like they were a bit all over us. Our ball use, particularly coming out of defence, was really stodgy, very wide, very slow, not much dare. And then I think that Fogarty goal just before the halftime siren, I think that really made a big difference because it sort of gave us, well, now we're still in front, you know, it gave us a bit of confidence, and that flowed into the third quarter where we just looked like a different team, and we started to play with some dare, some dash, and amazing how much better we look when we do that, boss. Yeah, I was quite impressed. And then to fight back with those couple of goals late when they were coming again in that fourth quarter, I just thought that showed a lot of grit and some composure when in previous years, I think you could almost say we're going to get run over the top of. And particularly given what we discussed last Tuesday, boss, about the, us our lads going to get tired because we don't have a game like already like Collingwood did. And you could see that was starting to wear on, we were starting to wear down a bit. But to finish off like we did, yeah, 2 thumbs up, mate. That was pretty impressive.
Yeah, look, I'd go along with that. I think it was. I felt like our ability to reconfigure after half time was really impressive. We looked like the first half, particularly the second quarter, looked like the finals games where we just couldn't break through them. We were going around the boundary. We weren't being adventurous at all. We weren't taking any risks whatsoever, and we didn't look like scoring. And you're screaming at the TV going, we've got all these big blokes up forward and we're not getting it to them. That's how one would, right? So, but I was really impressed with the coaching group and also the playing group that they were able to reconfigure in that third quarter and really change the way that they were playing. And it's been a hobby horse of mine for a while, but the fact that they were able to hit up short targets from 70 metres out going inside 50, Brownie, instead of bombing it in long from 80 or 90 metres to a 3-on-1, was a very different look for us, and it was a very concerted effort, I felt. Our key forwards and our small forwards were playing very deep, leaving that space sort of 30 to 40 metres out quite open in that third quarter, and we were hitting that little zone there, and everyone was just running onto it.
Yeah, it was just amazing the difference in the third quarter once we had the balls to actually try and take the corridor
Mm.
and move the ball quickly, we were able to get the ball to our forwards before they were covered, and it was just it's just a stark contrast, the two ways that we play.
Yeah.
It's like when we were playing good footy last year, we were going through the corridor, we're hitting targets, and then when we were playing bad football, they were just pushing us out to the wings, and we got to the
Mm.
point where we'd just go through the motions and we didn't want to take any risk. But obviously, Nick or the coaching group in general at halftime said it's time to take some risks. And even though we're not completely polished after in round one, it paid off in spades. It's just so much more attractive to watch. And I think you can tell they enjoy playing that way. So hopefully we get a lot more of that.
Well, it's far more effective too. I mean, we were going nowhere in that first half. Sorry, we started well, but we got bogged down in that second quarter. And God, for a while there, it just looked like we were never ever going to make any headway. And when you've got such firepower up forward, it's ridiculous that you're not feeding them. And the fact that we were able to put scoreboard pressure on them in the third, it makes such a difference to get. I think at one stage we were 30 plus points in front, and that gave us a little bit of breathing room because we certainly tied in the last, but we were able to hang on.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so I've got the remaining games of the round up on the screen there. You can see that. Not too many surprises. We won't go into it, but it was nice to see for your benefit. Big man Port got a shellacking, so very good. So obviously the ladder is still just a little bit wonky because we've got 5 or 6 teams that have to have a bye now before we can actually make any head or tail of it. But Sydney looking strong on top. Gold Coast similarly, although today's cakewalk against West Coast was not really an indicator. Bulldogs looking super impressive. North having a good win today. Us, of course, in 5th spot. Hawthorn, Melbourne and Collingwood, along with Geelong and GWS and Carlton with 1 win each. St Kilda, after being the love childs of the pre-season, zip 2. And judging by how Collingwood played today, I reckon you'd judge that loss against Collingwood last week a little bit more harshly. St Kilda, Brisbane, obviously a slow start, and away it tails off from there. So good to get the first win off. Let's have a look at some head-to-head stats first. If I can bring them up. So it was obviously 13-14-92 to Collingwood 11-10-76. Our main disposal winners, Wayne Miller with 34, Josh Worrell with 27, Alex Neil-Bullen with 26, Thilthorpe kicking 3, Cumming 2, Fogarty 2, and for Collingwood, Dacos got 33, although, big man, I'd be interested in your thoughts on this. I thought we played him like we used to play Robert Harvey. Wasn't, apart from a little patch when he got off the chain, 33, largely ineffective. Or not ineffective, but not damaging disposals, I don't think. Same with Dan Hughes, he got 32 off half-back, but he wasn't constructive at all. And Josh Dacos with 28. Nick Dacos kicking 2, Schultz kicking 2, and Ryan Steele also kicking 2.
Well, hopefully I don't sound like a robot, because apparently I did last time I spoke. But, yeah, look.
Are you good now?
Was I good? Was I bad before? Could you hear it before?
Yeah, I didn't get a word you said, but you're fine now.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. No, it's my end. It's Discord being a dickhead tonight.
Okay. Just let me know if there's an issue again. But yeah, I think I thought he had a pretty good first half. Dacos took that second quarter. He got a little bit too much ball forward to centre that I would have liked. But aside from that, he wasn't too bad, much of an influence on the game. Obviously, he didn't play a bad one, put it that way. But I've seen him play better against us. We all remember that game a few years ago in his first year where he won the game off his own boot against us at Adelaide Oval. So it wasn't like that this time around. But look, I still wonder, if there's things we could have done better in that first half to quell them a bit. But no doubt in that third quarter, for whatever reason, mainly because we started to own possession a lot more, he didn't get his hands on it. And they're a bit of a one-trick pony, Collingwood. I know they've got a couple of other good players. Obviously, Elliott's a great player, and Josh Dacos is great too. But he's such a barometer for them. And I think the fact that he fell out of it in that third goes nicely along with the fact that we just barnstormed majority of that third ourselves. So, I mean, I think you take that, boss. I think that he'd probably get the 3 Brownlow votes, but I don't think he would.
No, you're kidding, aren't you? You've got to be kidding. You've got to be kidding.
He wouldn't get my 3 Brownlow votes, but he will get the 3 Brownlow votes.
No, he won't. There's no way. If he gets the 3 Brownlow votes for that, there's something wrong. Brownie, don't you reckon?
Yeah, I mean, generally most of his disposals are like clean, but I thought that they weren't damaging a lot, running through the wing where he'd sort of handball and run past and get a second touch. But they're only really small, short disposals. There weren't a lot of kicks inside 50 and the things that he quite often does to cut you up. So I didn't think it was a really damaging game. I thought Josh Dacos played a better game than he did, but I think you'd probably have to put Miller. Miller was really efficient with his ball use by hand and by foot, and he was also pretty evasive and sort of sidestepping tackles. And I thought he was pretty consistent throughout the whole game, and I thought his efficiency was, I reckon, the best it's been probably since his purple patch 2 or 3 years ago.
Now, as per usual, Radicus is a great support on our YouTube channel, and he's given us a $5 donation once again. So thanks, Radicus, for that. Radicus has started his own YouTube channel too. So Radicus, put that in the chat so people know where it is. It's it started off this weekend, and it was pretty good. And as he says, now I know how much work to make a show. You just said the $5. Oh wait, you should try doing it live. It's even bloody worse. So it's not always this bad, but as some of you will know, I've got a bit of a new graphics package going here, and I got things flying all over the place. So it will smooth out in the coming weeks, I am sure. Just going through some of the head-to-head team stats. Disposals 387 to 365 our way, 256 kicks to 213, 131 handballs to 152. I didn't think it was as evident as the stats suggest, Brownie, but we certainly use the ball by foot more than they did transitioning the ball.
Yeah, actually, that probably surprised me a bit as well. Yeah, that's not a stat I was aware of. But I mean, in terms of meters gained, I thought that their players sort of had us, like Houston and a few of the others had Nick Dacos. They were way better than us. So yeah, that surprises me a bit.
I feel like they were kicking long to contests, Brownie, but I feel like when they were transitioning the ball, they were actually using the ball by hand a lot more. They were trying to run through.
Yeah, you're probably right there. Yeah.
What else we got? Tackles 48 to 52, pretty even. Marks, again, 117 to 98, which is obviously a result of our higher kick to handball ratio. We smashed them in contested possession, 140 to 115. And we were fairly even in uncontested ball. I thought our ground ball efforts and our in-close efforts were really good across the 4 quarters. Big man, I felt like our contest was really strong.
Yeah, so one thing I noticed quite a bit, even in the first half, was we were doing really well in contested possession. So the boys were working hard, and they were trying hard, go hard at the ball out there. We just weren't getting much benefit from it because we kept turning the ball over, especially out in the full. But I think that when that flowed into the third quarter, particularly around centre clearance, and I'm sure we'll touch on McAndrew soon, but yeah, it just seemed like our boys were quite well set through the midfield. I think we won centre clearance 2 or 3-1, or doubled theirs or whatever. So that's unlike us. We're usually more of a stoppage clearance team. And I think we end up smashing them, didn't we, in contested possession. So one thing we know about our boys is that they go in hard. They rarely have a game where they shirk the issue. But that was pretty impressive last night against not the best contested ball team in the league, but a pretty hardened outfit. The boys should be pretty proud of how they went about it.
Well, we usually get touched up by Sidebottom and Pendlebury and, obviously the Dacos boys and whatnot. But, I didn't feel like Pendlebury had much of an impact on the game. He's obviously still a bit underdone. And Sidebottom had patches of good work and sort of in and out of the game, but certainly not as damaging as he can be. As you mentioned, big man, we had 140 to 115 contested possessions, which was great. Inside 50s were pretty even, 55 to 59. We rebounded a little bit more out of halfback, 48 to 40. Centre clearances, as you mentioned, 16 to 9. Stoppage clearances, surprisingly, we lost by 7. But I didn't think... again, they went through a little patch when they got their tails up where they were winning a little bit of stoppage and getting clear. But on the whole, I didn't think it was a big issue for us.
No. And I'm curious to what you think, boss, about our tendency, which has been the case for a while now, but, I was seeing it through pre-season, and that was again the case. We're still very much a kicking team. I think we have, across the first 2 rounds, we averaged the most kicks of any team so far. It was basically 2 kicks for every handball or something like that. It's close to that. So
close enough, 2 to 1.
Yeah, that's not. We're not the only team doing that, of course. We know Brisbane have done that quite a bit in recent years, but it is a little bit against the trend of some other teams. Do you have a personal preference? I don't mind us being a kicking team but it's got to be in the right hands. Do you know what I mean?
Well, we'll talk about hands in a minute, Brownie, but there are a couple of blokes who probably shouldn't be kicking the bloody ball. But look, I don't mind it when we are being aggressive with our kicks. And, we had a couple of turnovers where blokes bit off a bit more than they could chew, Brownie, but I just feel like you can cut through lines a little bit better by foot. When we tried to run it by hand, they tended to get some fairly heavy frontal pressure on us, and we either turned it over or it resulted in a stoppage. But I felt like when we were hitting up targets and doing those 45s, we looked a lot more dangerous by foot.
Yeah, definitely. When we were taking risk and going back inside, I think it was really good. But kicking down the line, we were taking easy options and still missing them. Rory Laird, I found it frustrating. He missed a few really easy kicks, but also you've got some momentum. You're moving the ball quick, and then he takes a mark and it slows down. He doesn't look for a quick option. He takes his time, and everyone's covered us, and all of a sudden that transition slows down. I just think we need a more attacking mindset coming out of the half-back line, and it worries me that we've signed him for another year, and we could be stuck with that for 2 years. I'd much rather see one that's going to take.
You've dropped out again.
It's rough.
I don't know what's wrong with bloody Discord tonight. It's really not handling it very well. Brownie, can you hear us?
I can hear you now. Fine.
Yeah, you just faded away there for a minute. Maybe it's because you're in the land of the red wine grape. I don't know. Look, there is one person that I wanted to quickly touch on, simply because I felt like I was watching a different team because of the work that he was able to do, and that was Lockie McAndrew. Big man, how foreign was it to actually watch a game where we were winning centre clearances and actually had a ruckman that was giving us first look?
I mean, in a game scenario, it's definitely. I mean, not to toot my own horn or anything like that, but I was preaching this a few months ago, and then obviously the noise started to get louder once it became clear in practice games that McAndrew was the preferred. But he's been doing this for a while, particularly with his centre bounce work. He just gives us a different look in there. I noticed, just felt like we had more space in the guts than we usually do. There were some taps that were just too space, but our players were able to run onto, and there wasn't like a repeat stoppage. And I know the rules are designed to allow for this, but no, he didn't absolutely dominate the game, but I thought overall, he did a really good job against Dusty Cameron, who's no idiot. He's a bloody good player. So, and he'll find it easier against other opposition too. And don't get me wrong, there'll be some harder ones. We know how he struggled a bit more against Fremantle the other day, but against pretty quality opposition, and particularly in their ruck stocks, but also their midfield. We know they've got some guns in there, and for us to beat them quite comprehensively at centre clearance, it's very un-Crows like, boss, and just gave us a fresh look, and long may it continue for now. I mean, obviously we'll have to see how he can back up week after week, but for now it's it's pretty exciting. I think it freshened that whole group up.
You're being very measured, big man. It concerns me. I want you to be a bit more up and about, please.
What did you want me to say?
I don't know. 27 to 16 hitouts. 27 to 16 hitouts against the reigning Collingwood best and fairest isn't a bad start for the young man, Brownie. Can you guys not hear me again?
Yeah, I couldn't hear big man or you.
Oh wow! Hell. I reckon that's your internet, Jeff.
Yeah.
I was saying 27 to 16 hitouts, Brownie, for a debutant against the reigning Collingwood best and fairest isn't a bad deal. Not a bad start.
Yeah, it was actually great to see that he was timing his jump, so he was getting the hand on the ball first. And like Big Man said, it wasn't that he was, we were perfectly in sync and he was putting it down the running player's throat. But just about every time he'd hit it into space where we were able to run onto it and we were clear, we were free still. We had time to get a possession without a lot of pressure. He seemed to have a lot of awareness about where his players were and where he needed to palm the ball. And even his second efforts when on the ground, he got a couple of clearances himself, and it just gave us a whole different look at the centre bounce, because that's really where we've been struggling for the last few years. If we can clean that up and get Dan Curtin and a couple of others back in the midfield, like big bodies, I reckon there's a lot of upside there.
Now, I'm just going to just ask people on the chat, is Big Man's audio no good, or what's going on there? Someone give me a readout, because no good.
Apparently Brownie then was robotish. So me and Brownie are both being cooked. Robot.
Discord stuff, YouTube, fine.
It's weird, eh?
Yeah.
It's got to be just on YouTube then.
No, it's a
Discord.
Yeah, it's a Discord issue, unfortunately. I am, for the people, sorry for the interruption, but for the people on Discord, I'm going to close this studio and reopen it and see whether that fixes it. Obviously, on YouTube, it doesn't matter for anyone, but I'm going to end the stage and then restart it. And if you can all just file back in, we'll see how we go. And apologies to people on YouTube for this. It's we've got quite a good studio audience on Discord at the moment. So if you are one of those people who haven't joined our Discord community just yet, then it's not a bad idea to do so, because aside from the issues we've got tonight, it's a pretty good place during the week for Crows Chat. There's tipping, there's best and fairest voting, there's live stats, there's historical stats, there's all sorts of stuff. So I would recommend that you join our Discord if you can, and there is a link, an invite link in the description to join our Discord server. So for those in the Discord now, how are we going?
Better from my end.
Clear? All right. We'll continue.
Am I robot? Anyone just let me know if I'm robot, otherwise, because I could be the problem.
You're good.
No, I think it's just Discord. It's Discord in general, because all the audio flows through my Discord, big man. So that's just the way it is. But It seems like we're all good now with a bit of a Ragnar, you're going to get booted, mate. You're going to get booted. All right, look, let's push on. I want to talk about some individuals. We've already talked about Lockie McAndrew. We'll focus on some positives. And one of the big, and I've got to admit, surprising positives from my point of view was that of Wayne Miller Jr., Jeffrey. I did not see that performance coming.
No, I thought it was a massive improvement on what he delivered last year. Last year, he didn't quite look like he was right, but he looked like he was moving better. He was moving. His sideways movement was back. His ball use was really good. He's cool under pressure. When he's good, he's got time.
Yeah.
And it all just seemed to flow. And it looked like, I think I said this before, but when I was sounding like a robot, he looked like the Wayne Miller of 3 years ago. It was fantastic. And if we can get that kind of output from him for the rest of the year, that'll be a massive positive.
Big man, you would have been pleasantly surprised.
Oh no, I've probably been more up and about Junior than you have. I think you wanted him dropped, didn't you, boss?
Yep, I wanted him out. Get rid of him.
I think you're probably reconsidering that just slightly, I think, after the weekend. Now, look, that was probably the best game I've seen him play. And I know he had some great games, particularly in 2018, where we thought he was going to just take over. But, he looked confident. And even in that first half, we didn't have too many guys that could really say they were, having a great game. But he was one that was really keeping us in it. His ball handling was elite. He barely fumbled. He was one that was making good decisions, hitting him, targets, and he just did it all, didn't he? And that was the Miller we've been wanting to see for a while now. So more of that, please, because that's all Australian type halfback stuff. I'm not saying he's going to do that, get 34 touches every week, but geez, the composure and the way in which he didn't fumble and just the cleanliness of everything he did when things got hot and others might panic, he was a really steady ship back there. So that was immense from him.
Yeah. Vardy in the chat saying that he mentioned on 5AA a little while back that it was the first full pre-season he's ever had. And anyone who's played footy knows that if you can get a full pre-season in, it just sets you up so much better. And he's obviously been injury plagued. He's had knees and all sorts of stuff going on. But that performance, Brownie, I think was what we initially expected from him, and then hoped from him, and then kind of thought that we were never going to get from him. But we were talking in the preview, me and Macca, on Tuesday night, that we needed more run off half back, and he certainly provided it.
Yeah, well, if I didn't know that was the full pre done, so that obviously makes a massive difference to how he's going to start the season. And it's obviously, he's obviously got some confidence out of that, being able to get through the pre-season injury-free, unlike most of our list. And I think, he looks like he's back. So let's just, you can't judge after one game probably,
No,
but
of course not.
all the signs so that if he's hitting targets by hand and foot, and he's that ability just to evade tackles and not to panic under pressure, they're the kind of guys with a bit of X factor that we need. Really impressed.
The next person I wanted to talk about is another whipping boy of mine, who I thought probably had his best game for the club, and that was Alex Neil-Bullen. 26 touches, 14 kicks, 12 handballs, kicked a goal, laid a couple of tackles, 7 marks, 2 clearances, 10 contested and 17 uncontested, 6 inside 50s. But he also looked lighter on his feet than last year, in my opinion. It seemed, not that he's ever going to put the turbo on or anything like that, but I just felt like he looked just a bit lighter on his feet, and his ability to get up the ground and kind of direct traffic on the way in was really valuable for us, particularly during that hot period. And it was, as I said, probably from my perspective, probably the best game I've seen him play for us.
Are you a Neil-Bullen man, Brownie?
I would admit last year I thought he had a couple of good games. I was probably underwhelmed, given he came with a pretty good reputation and premiership player and all that kind of thing. I was a bit underwhelmed until probably towards the end of the season. He played a couple of games that were pretty impressive, and I thought if he could keep that level all the time, then he's definitely a really good option. But I agree with Rob in terms of I just thought the way he moved was really good. I thought he had a few issues with his kicking last year, and I thought he kicked a lot better on the weekend as well. So he's another one. I was sort of, I wasn't saying drop him, but I was just a bit underwhelmed last year most weeks, and I thought this effort against a quality side, at the G was a really, really consistent. Like he played the whole game and he didn't go missing, and he was effective. So yeah, I was really, really impressed.
Underwhelmed is probably exactly the right word when it comes to AMB. I think we were all just expecting a little bit more, big man, and I just feel like he's one of those players, as we've talked about, that is says and does all the right things, but I felt like he was a bit more dynamic on Saturday night.
No, I think that's fair. I mean, it's an interesting one because statistically, I think if you look at how he fares against other half forwards in the game, he had a pretty good year last year, and but there were times, and like even though I'm a fan, I still admit that like there were times where he got caught flat-footed and he didn't look as speedy or as dynamic as I would have liked, particularly at stage 30. I don't know if maybe he had an injury or something going on there. Maybe we don't know, but he looked like I wouldn't say a completely different player on Saturday night, but he definitely looked a bit nippier and had a bit more zest about him. And I don't think he's ever going to be like he's not gout in terms of his speed or anything like that, but. I was just impressed by the way he covered the ground, and we know he's played that ground a lot of times for Melbourne, of course, which I'm sure helps. And with his running power, having that extra space to work with would no doubt help as well. But it's just little things. I thought his ball handling and his acceleration and everything around in tight was really good. So more of that, please, because he plays similar to that for most of the year. Again, that's another sort of close to all Australian level type performance. For me, if he can just hit the scoreboard a little bit more this year, that would go a long way to. He doesn't have to win me over, but I think that was probably one thing missing too last year was the inability to kick many goals. I think he only kicked 15, 16 goals a year, maybe 17. For a small forward, that's not a heap. So, if we could see a bit more of that throughout the year, I think that'd be great too.
Yeah, Water in the YouTube chat says doesn't always give the first option, and I think that was probably true last season. But I just felt like he was a little bit more prone to giving the first option against Collingwood, and some of his spot-ups were fantastic. So good to see him come on with a little bit of form. Josh Worrell had a fantastic first quarter and a pretty good game in general. Brownie, how'd you see him?
I thought he quietened down a bit. Didn't get as much of the ball in the second half, but his first quarter was like he did some really good stuff, and it could have been a different story if he wasn't switched on. We could have been, a goals further backwards. So I thought he he's just reliable. He doesn't make many mistakes. This one is bloody awesome. He just hardly ever makes a mistake by foot. And he does seem to kick a fair bit, which is good. I mean, some of them are just little chips to a safe space, but he also can kick a long ball and hit a target. So I thought he was good. He was a little bit quieter. I think they probably locked down on him a bit in the second half because he was seen as a bit of a threat. But overall, yeah, great game.
Yeah, look, 27 touches. I think he had 13 in the first quarter, 16 kicks, 11 handballs, 8 marks, 16 uncontested and 8 contested possessions, 7 rebound 50s and 9 intercepts. That's exactly what you want from your mobile tall big man. And I felt like in a game where he could have been a little bit at sea because Collingwood didn't have a lot of tall options, he really played his role well, and I think Brownie's correct that perhaps they try to make him a bit more accountable after quarter time.
Yeah, look, he's no Josh Battle though, is he? Let's be
Wow, got your downbeat tonight. What the hell? We've just beaten Collingwood at the bloody MCG in round 1, for Christ's sakes.
I hope you can hear the sarcasm coming through, mate.
Oh, man.
I'm joking, mate. He's a star. He's a star, mate. I don't know. Oh, I know why he didn't get All-Australian because it came Cairns, but it's just beggars belief. He just keeps doing it now. He's had some great preseason games, and a bit like Miller in that sense, he just carried it on into the real thing. And also like Miller, he was one of the few that was holding their own in that first quarter and a bit when the tide was against us. There was another guy too we'll talk about soon, one of our wingmen as well. But yeah, he was great, and yeah, there's still occasionally the old blast kick out of defence, but even that, I thought he was just a bit more willing to look around, handball if he needed to, not just kick off the back foot all the time. And we forget he's only played 56 games. Like that's nothing in the scheme of things. Like yes, he's a 24-year-old, but he's only just made that that first milestone. So no, he's building beautifully, and very lucky to have him.
Now, Billy in the chat says get Arab on, and we actually have Arab for our first person to actually brave the interaction this year. Arab, I knew I could count on you, mate. How you going?
Hello, guys. How are you guys going? How's everyone going? It's good to have the pod back.
Very good, mate. Straighten us up, mate, please.
Good, mate.
Nah, just want to say that isn't it good to have that feeling like that we're a good team now? Like the vibe feels like it's the same vibe we had between 2015 till 2017, where we were like that team that could actually win it, and we're a top team now. Like last year, yeah, we finished top, but it just didn't have that feeling or that vibe. Every time we won, we're like, oh yeah, we did win. Oh, somehow we managed to win 9 games. But this year, it's like there's that expectation, and I feel like they're understanding that and they're living up to it, especially in that third quarter and the bit of the last. But yeah, I just want to say it's so good to have that feeling back where we're one of the top teams again.
Is this the real Arab? Is he being taken over by some alien or something?
Bizarro world on the weekend wrap tonight.
What do you mean?
It's a good call. Like, I think we're obviously going to have bigger challenges ahead, particularly in the short term. We're going to play the best team in the comp at the moment, alongside Sydney, I'd say, on Friday night. Then we've got Geelong, and then it doesn't get much easier after that. So bigger challenges will come, and we're not going to win every week. But I agree, that showed maturity. I think we're a little bit underdone. Obviously, Collingwood were missing a couple of their key backs, but we were missing probably more overall, including one of our best 2 or 3 players. And to get it done against the Collingwood team that had there's 50,000 Collingwood supporters there, 55, screaming and yelling at you, to hold our nerve and in that environment, it shows that I think it's a mix of obviously better quality players, but also the players we brought in, some steady heads, mature heads as well. Neil Bourne, Archie, Cumming, all these guys. And also just a few. We just got some gun players as well that just rise to the moment, And some of them, the best thing is some of them are 22, 23 years old.
Yeah,
Look,
and
I
we
think
just gotta stop begging.
sorry, Arab, I was just going to put it to you that do you think that the work that's been done on the list in the last couple of years just to straighten up the age profile is starting to bear fruit a little bit? Because as Big Man said, we just look a little bit more level-headed now with ball in hand, with games into the young blokes and a bit of an even spread of youth and experience.
Yeah, 100%. That's one of them. Yeah, it's like you see it there. And I wish we had more time. We put more games into guys like Pedler or Cookie or there's still those things, but now we're seeing the results of it, even though it was a slow process. We're seeing it and we're like, this is what we wanted. Maybe we should have had this last year or even the year before if we put games, but it's good that we finally are here then with these players. And hopefully we continue to see them growing. But yeah, that's all.
Mate, thank you for your contribution.
Thank you.
It's much appreciated. And Arab, one of our most regular contributors. And if anyone else wants to have their say on the podcast, you can do so live from our Discord stage. So just get around it, put your hand up, and I will get you on. All right. Sorry, go on.
Still not convinced that was the real Arab. A bit too positive for my liking. I think there's something. I don't know. Something was off there, boss. What do you reckon?
Look, I'm not going to question it because I'm questioning you at the moment.
We love Arab. It's great to hear from him again.
The next person I want to just have a quick chat about is young Riley, because I felt like at various stages he looked like he was going to tear the game up. Didn't probably have a 4-quarter game, but by God, how good does he look when he goes into the middle, Brownie?
Oh, when you see him get a clearance, I could not and take a bounce. That was superb. It was like to be able to be that mobile at that size is incredible. Just a pity he didn't kick the goal, but no, he was he was good. I mean, 3 goals is a pretty solid start to the season, and he probably got his hands on a couple that he'd normally clunk and dropped them. But no, it was great, and it was great not to have to use him in the ruck as much. Just from a
I don't think we used him at all in the ruck.
No, I didn't see him go for any. So having that with Toby Murray option really worked well, and I think if that takes a bit of pressure off Riley and reduces the risk of injury, I think that's fantastic as well.
Yeah, a bit of a gamble, Big Man, considering our lack of legs, just compared to Collingwood already having had a game, for us to run Toby Murray, but we always thought that running Lockie McAndrew as a solo ruckman just wasn't an option, and I felt like we got out of jail probably with that one. But being able to use Riley then at ground level, and I think someone on the chat posted, he had 500 odd metres gained as an 80% forward. I mean, that's just ridiculous from the big fella, and it's only game 1.
Yeah, I think I mentioned that it was one of the internal scratch matches they did back in, might have been late January, and I said to you, they even chucked Thilthorpe in for a couple of CVs, and you said, I don't mind that. And for them to actually do it in the real thing was great to see, and
yeah,
it looked bloody good, didn't it? When he got that clearance, it's a shame that it didn't work out. He looks so. It's funny watching him in there, just because guys, midfielders just shouldn't be that big. But I mean, he's so clean at ground level. You can see why it would work. Obviously, I still love him up forward because you wanted him to be the player they kicked to. But it was good. And the thing you talk about with Toby Murray, and we'll probably talk later about changes and stuff and whether he retains his spot in the team. But I think one thing is that for 3 of the 4 first games we have are against A-grade super fit ruckman in Cameron, Tim English, and Jackson /Darcy. Darcy not so much on the super fit side of things, but you get my gist. And I think they were concerned about because McAndrew's not a particularly good runner. He's definitely not Rob in terms of his ability to run out games as well. So they're probably worried about that. Plus, he's only third game on the weekend, so that as well. It's a lot to ask of him to back it up each week, and it'll be interesting to see which way we go down the track. But yeah, the benefit of that is things like being able to see Thilthorpe in the middle, and just little changes like that make a big difference, boss, because they just make us so much more unpredictable to the opposition.
Well, and it's unusual for us. It's not Crows like, it's not Matthew Nicks like, and look, I might just be seeing things, but I feel like Matthew Nicks, the way he's speaking this year in the media and the way he's carrying himself, he just seems a little bit looser. Brownie, am I just? And I've got to acknowledge that.
Yeah, not as.
Go on.
I was just going to say, not as negative as he was towards the end of last year. He seemed nervous and negative, and he seems upbeat, and maybe that is flowing onto his coaching because, I mean, if this was last year, he would have stuck with that game plan that he had for the first two quarters for the rest of the game, and we would have been talking about, how we couldn't get any effective entries into inside 50. But this time at half time, he made a drastic change, which, I probably didn't expect. And it worked. It worried me a bit that we probably shut down in the last quarter again, and they came at us. But the fact that he did that, the fact that he is trusting Rochelle with centre bounce attendances, and also running Riley through there as well, it's almost like he's willing to take a bit more of a risk and back the players this year, which has been one of our biggest criticisms of him previously, that he doesn't really back his young guys and he doesn't take enough chances. So he did seem a bit different.
Big man, do you think that he feels like he's finally got the team that he wants? Because Brownie mentioned trust, and we've talked about trust for a number of years under Matthew Nicks, and it's been a big criticism of mine that he doesn't trust the players and he's very risk-averse. And certainly in the second quarter, I thought, here we go again, we're going to play this bloody negative crap football. But for us to turn it around in the third reminded me of that game that we turned it on against, was it Hawthorn last year or Collingwood? I can't remember, where we just kicked away in a 5 or 10 minute period either side of three-quarter time to win. And it reminded me of that. And I don't know, I sense something a little bit different from Matthew Nicks. And if that's the product of his surroundings and the people that he's got around him now, and whether he's got the team that he wants now or he's got more confidence in the team now, I'm all for it.
Oh, look, yeah, it's a tricky one to make a comment on without knowing from the man himself. But I will say, one thing I will say is that I'm not sure Nixie loves expectation. And I think, once we became, it was clear that we were a pretty good side last year, and then we started hosting, Hawthorn and Brisbane and Collingwood and the like on, big Friday night games where we were actually expected to get the result. And then obviously in the finals as well, he gave off that sort of negative aura. And on Saturday night, we weren't actually, the bookies had us 220 to 170 or something like that. So we went in as underdogs, and I think he likes being underdogs. So I'd probably be more willing to judge this. But I'd probably be more willing to judge his attitude and demeanour when as the season wears on and how he deals with expectation again, because I think we've been written off to an extent going into this season for various reasons, mainly because of our midfield and not adding to it in the off-season. It seems like we've sort of drifted off in the public consciousness a bit, whereas others have obviously, like Gold Coast and Sydney and stuff, have sort of risen up. And I think Nixie probably likes that. The question mark will be for me, if we are starting to have a pretty nice spot in the ladder and people start expecting us to beat the best teams, potentially as soon as this Friday, how does he deal with that? Does he still give off that sort of negative tension that we saw last year, where he would just look like a guy who was really riding on every result in every moment?
Well, I'll say this, mate, and not sure whether you'll agree, but I also think that the team now is a little bit more mature, and there's some players now with good games under their belts. You know, you've got seniors like Tex and Dawson and Neil Bullen and those blokes. But you've also got now our mid-tier that are coming up around 50, 60, 70 games as well. Thanks for that, Ragnar. I'm sure that's Ragnar making me purple. And I feel like the players might just have a little bit more input now as the group matures, whereas previously Nix was very much the teacher, very much the master of a young squad. I feel like now that dynamic might shift a little bit, Brownie.
Yeah, and I don't know whether that could be partially to do with some of the senior people he's got around him as well. And that's starting to filter through, like the Murray Davis and Neil Barr being on board. I think there's an air of confidence that we've got some really good people in senior positions, and that flows down to the confidence of the coach and confidence of the team as well. So,
Yep.
yeah, it's hard to say. Like Big Man said, we can only judge after maybe 8 or 10 games. At the moment, it's one game, and as Big Man said, we were underdogs, and he probably didn't feel any pressure or expectation this week. So it would be good to see if it's a permanent change or it was just a result of that.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just a sense that I've got that maybe the dynamic of the whole group has just shifted a little bit with some inclusions and some more maturity amongst the group. But I don't know. We'll see as the season progresses, I'm sure. Josh Shelley, big man, 24 touches, a goal, 3 tackles, 6 marks, 3 clearances, 9 contested and 13 uncontested possessions, 2 inside 50s, 2 clearances from centre, 1 around stoppage, and 7 clangers, unfortunately. And it was those clangers probably that I felt just detracted from what was otherwise a solid game. And I didn't mind him biting a few off now and again, but I felt like his disposal probably wasn't as up to the standard that he would probably like.
Yeah, he's better than that, and we know that he's a great kick usually, maybe a bit nervy, which is understandable. Yeah, I'm sure that won't really be an issue throughout the rest of the season. And the best thing is he got his hands on it. He's a bit of a stat filler. Josh, he sort of does it all. He lays tackles, takes marks around the ground. He obviously hits the scoreboard. He does a lot. He'll play better games than that too. But that was a pretty solid start. Occasionally, you still see when he gets the ball, he can be dispossessed or wrapped up a bit too easy. But if he's able to put that step on initially and get some space for himself, he looks really good in the centre as well. So he's still working on that. Hopefully he can. I'd love to see him just get a bit more of a fend. He's obviously can bench press 150 kilos. He should use that against other players and really bounce off. And hopefully that comes in time. But for now, I think it was great. It'll be interesting to see how he goes, and how he's used with Rankin back. Who gets the more midfield time next week? But I think he'd be pretty pleased with that first up.
Agreed, Brownie. You'd hope that they persist with him because I thought it was, as Big Man said, a pretty solid first up effort.
Yeah, I think Nick's has sounded like he was from the start. He was going to give him a lot more time in the midfield, and he's clearly a ball magnet. He's just got, like Big Man said, he's just got to clean up. He does get dispossessed a little bit. He's got to clean up the disposal, but I think that was just first game blues, and I think he'll just get better as he gets his confidence, as he gets more minutes. But what I loved about him was just his second efforts and just fighting for the ball. And just a little tap to put it in someone's advantage. He does a lot of 1%ers that you don't really notice. I think his Joshua Shelley now compared to Joshua Shelley, who was a slightly selfish footballer 2 years ago, is a very, very different footballer. And I really upside if you turn, like you said, those 7 clangers into 7 good disposals, then that's a fantastic game, and he probably kicks another goal or 2 as well. So, yeah, I can only see the positives because I think the little things like missing a few targets, they can be cleaned up pretty easily.
Yeah, look, you mentioned before that he's got a little bit of class, and I really like the way he keeps his head in tight, and he'll give a little toe poke or a little tap, or just do a little a smart thing. And I think one thing that the Crows have lacked up until probably last year was that composure around the ball to be able to do those little deft things. And another bloke that I reckon is showing signs of being able to do that, and had probably his best game for the club, I reckon, it was Braden Cook. 19 disposals, 14 kicks, 5 handballs, kicked a goal, later tackled, 7 marks, 10 contested and 10 uncontested possession, 3 inside 50s, and just a couple of really nice little things. That beautiful spin out of a tackle on the member side wing, I think it was in the third quarter, was a thing of beauty. But he's also got composure, and then he obviously had that nice long bomb from just on 50 as well. So I was hoping, big man, that we'd pick him over Chase on the wing. No disrespect to Chase, and I don't think we were disappointed by the outcome.
Nah, I think we're all pretty happy with the selections when we saw them.
Yeah.
And he was a big one. I think I was really pushing for him to play round one, and the important thing is he played really well in those practice games, so he didn't give the coaches any reason to doubt him. And that confidence had just gone straight into Saturday night, where he barely made a mistake. And the great thing about Cookie is twofold. One, he's a lot more involved than he used to be. He used to do a big Houdini disappearing act a lot of the time in previous games, but that was pretty much a full-quarter performance from him on Saturday night. And secondly, just his competitiveness. Unbelievably, he had the equal most contested possessions for us on the weekend, which is not something you'd normally say about Cookie. So, and we saw signs of that in the SANFL and even his brief appearances last year, and that's really added to his game. He's not easy to beat anymore. He actually, does his bit when the contest is there, and God, he's got some tricks. Like, he really has tricks, and I love seeing some flair in our players because, in the last 3-4 years, we haven't had a lot of them. So to see someone like Cookie who has those tricks up his sleeve, I think we'll only see more of that too as he keeps gaining confidence at the level. That was a great start to the season for him.
We've been crying out for a 20-touch game from Braden, and Brownie, that's what you get from 20 touches out of him. And I think if we get that sort of output on a wing and that sort of creativity, because he was also looking for the more aggressive handoffs and passes and all the rest of it, I just felt like he was quite dynamic on the wing.
Yeah, that's the best I've see. Ability at the contest, he was just winning them. And he looked like a seasoned player out there. He was backing himself, and he looked like he had a real level of confidence. And I reckon he's another one that's got massive upside, because that goal he kicked from 50, that was just a piece of beauty. That was just a beautiful kick, and he hit a few other targets. Like, I don't remember seeing him miss a target, actually, unlike most of our players. And he just looked composed, and he looked like he had time, and he was really good decision making. So yeah, love to see him. If he can, play at that level every week, that'd be great. I don't know how fit he is. Whether he probably needs to get
He looked fit, actually. He looked the fittest he's been.
if that's been a knock on him at all. He does. Yeah, he looked a bit better on Saturday night, but I reckon, based on just his football smarts, he looked like a player that's got some real potential.
Yeah, I like him a lot.
I remember it's been a long time coming. Like what?
Yeah, but he's come from a long way back as well, though, and I reckon they took a punt on him, and maybe just starting to come up trumps now, because if we can get those sort of gains out of him, 20-odd touches a week from a wing, that's really all you can ask for, isn't it, big man?
Yeah, I mean, we held the faith, and a lot of clubs would probably have turfed him 1 or 2 years ago because he wasn't getting it done for a long time there, and they obviously saw that he still had something to offer, and we knew that he had that skill, but it was just about complementing the rest of his game with a bit of added toughness, better work rate, fitness, all those things. And as you said, he's come from a long way back. He didn't play representative footy. He was just a volleyball guy that was playing a bit of park footy, and ends up getting drafted as sort of an X factor, but long way off sort of project player. And it's taken a long time, but we're starting to see the benefits now. It's just up to him to keep going with it now.
Well, and I've just got, because wing was probably an area that we were really concerned about, wasn't it, big man, in our pre-season chats? And I've just put up on the screen Cumming and Cook's output. Both had 19 touches, 14 kicks and 5 handballs. Cumming with the 2 goals, Braden with 1. Cumming with 2 tackles, Braden with 1, 9 marks and 7 marks. Braden had more contested stuff, 10-2. Isaac more on the outside, 17-10, 4 insides and 3 inside 50s. I mean, that's near on 40 touches, 3 goals, and 7 inside 50s from your wings. That's pretty much all you want, isn't it? That's what we're after, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think, we always talked about how we think Isaac's better behind the ball, but that was a high end wing performance from him, and he was the other one alongside Miller and Worrell, who I thought was really gave us something in that first half. And I just thought his composure, his skill level, and this time he actually got really involved. He's had some quiet games for us last year. I'm not expecting this every week, but that was much more in line with what we were hoping for, I guess, when we got him. So, he was another one. I mean, those numbers you read off, that's pretty awesome stuff to hear.
And I've just put up a couple of additionals. Braden had 7 intercepts as well. They both had 1 rebound 50, Coming with the 1 intercept, but Braden had 7 as well. So, I mean, I don't think you get much better than that from a wing. If you from your 2 wings, if that's what you get every week, then you're doing it right as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, and I think our concern was probably that second wing spot. I think we always had Coming in mind for one of them, but who was going to take the second? And Cookie was training most of the year behind behind the ball as a half-back flanker, but and we saw a bit of that. He didn't just play exclusively wing on the weekend, but I think, but that's just part of the role. And we might have found a solution here, which is pretty awesome because it's only taken 1 game. But yeah, you're right. It was a bigger problem than probably. Maybe we made it to be a bigger problem. Maybe the answer was always there all along, and it was Braden Cook.
Yeah, well, if you'd asked me the question, what's the question, then I wouldn't have said the answer was Braden Cook, but I don't even think that made any sense.
No, it didn't. I was going to say something.
It had made no sense, but I don't give a shit.
That's all right. I know what you meant.
You know what I mean. And look, apart from that, the old state, the other person I thought was really good, and I think his game's been a little bit understated, because he kind of bookended the game, I thought. But when we needed him, he was very big, I thought. Taylor Walker, Brownie, what do you think of his game?
I didn't like his first quarter, and I was thinking, oh god, he was just making a lot of bad decisions, and his disposal was bad. But then he just worked himself into the game. He had that one where he kicked it from the wing into the guts and opened up the corridor. He did a couple of other really good passes. That one to Fogg over the back where Fogg kicked the goal. That were good handballs. Like that one to Phil Thorpe where he kicked the goal around his body. I thought he started slow and a bit rusty, I think was probably the issue. And he worked himself into the game. And by the end of the game, it was a really solid contribution. I just thought the 3 of them, as much as, they're not all going to dominate, but I thought they all just contributed when they needed to, and it worked really well.
I thought he took a couple of really telling contested marks at key moments. And
in defence.
No, not in defence. Leading up through just like, I guess you could call it in defence, but it wasn't defensive, if you know what I mean. It was that lead up coming out of defence, and he was presenting. Some really strong marks, and that little deft kick that he gave to Fogg to give us a little bit of breathing space in the last was really good. He had 19 touches, 11 kicks, 8 handballs, 6 marks. Didn't kick a goal himself, but had 5 inside 50s and 2 goal assists. Big man, I actually gave him a vote.
No, look, I even early when he wasn't getting particularly involved, and he was obviously kicking it at the full and making some errors, I still really liked his hands. And then in the second half, we saw that he has really sticky hands at the moment, which is a great sign for him. He's really competing well in the air. And he just looks very fluid out there compared to what we've seen at times in the last couple of years, which suggests to me that his body's in good nick at the moment. So, look, he'll still need to be managed, but obviously he didn't hit the scoreboard himself, but he set up goals, and that's what he's always done throughout his career. He's such a great score involvement player because he's such a good ball user and a great decision maker. But for me, it was the aerial stuff that stood out to me that I was really impressed by, and that's a good sign for this year that he's still got it.
I mean, look, they were undersized and they had their key, their monster Billy Frampton playing against our monster Riley Thilthorpe. So, at times we had Quaynor up on Fogg or Tex, and, it probably wasn't the physical battle that you'd normally get from a Darcy Moore or someone like that, but you can only play against who you put up against. And I felt like Tex took advantage of the mismatch, and I think it was a good start from him. And he looked fit. He looked fit. He looked strong. As you say, it was one touching the ball, big man, more or less. And I thought, despite some errors and some rustiness at times, I thought he was quite key at pivotal moments during the course of the game. So good start from him. Yeah. My man Sam Berry, I thought, had a serviceable game, nothing outstanding. But he was in amongst it. He's certainly taken on the role of our main in and under player, and I thought it wasn't a bad start from Berry considering the way he finished off 2025.
Yeah, I mean, I think I just wish I knew where his tackling had gone. When he came to the club, he was such a good tackler, and then last night he had 2 broken by side bottom, and I thought, come on, Bez, you're a bit better than that. But no, I thought his actual craft inside with his clearance work I thought he was the most pure in terms of our clearances. His ability to break away, put the jets on a bit, which we haven't seen a heap of at AFL level. He does it at training. He does it in the SNFL. It was great to see it in play at the MCG, against real opposition. If he can produce that every week, I think we'd be pretty happy. He only had 19 touches or something thereabouts. He's still not accumulating heats, but he's working tight, and to break away from stoppage, I thought was really beneficial. And he seems to one that benefited the most from the inclusion of McAndrew, I thought.
Well, what I like is the kick to handball ratio from Sam, because traditionally our contested ball players, and I can say this without Macca being here, have been heavily leaning towards the handball, whereas we had 16 kicks, 3 handballs from Sam Brownie. And one of the things I really like about his game now is his ability to back himself and burst away from congestion, rather than just give a panic handball or something and perhaps turn it back into a contest. And I feel like he's able to use a little bit of his acceleration to burst free, and his confidence is growing as a consequence of that.
Yeah, I just like the fact that he backs himself. And occasionally he gets it wrong, like he gets caught or he doesn't give an option that's there. But I think the fact that the forwards know he's gonna try and make the break, and he's gonna try and give someone a run at the ball. And yeah, that's just his style. I think it's great for the team to see him making a run. I think he's probably Rochelli's not going to be that type of player. I don't think he's going to be a little burst and a quick handball or a kick. But Berry got, I think, 500 odd meters gain this week, which was a pretty good effort considering he didn't have a hell of a lot of possessions. So yeah, the fact he can break the lines is going to be really, really good. But the only thing you'd like to see is him maybe just get a little more of it. But he's in that Saligo mold where they sort of get 16 to 20 most weeks. It'd be nice if we could push that up to 22 to 25 every week. But yeah, he's come a long way in 12 months, hasn't he?
Yeah, I think so. And I think he's pretty much earned his spot in the 23. I don't see anyone coming in behind him. Charlie Edwards is probably the only other one that you would think might come in, but I don't think it'll be for Sam. And, we've got Sam and Peatling as our main in and unders, along with Jake Saligo, who I thought had a patchy game, did some good things, wasn't a standout, but given his limited preparation, I was actually surprised that he played at all. And, he still managed to have an involvement, 14 touches, 8 kicks, 6 handballs, and kicked a goal, 6 tackles, 7 contested. Big man, were you surprised he played? I was surprised he played, to be honest.
Yeah, I was. I knew he was in the mix. I thought that, and I probably still would have gone with Mankervis, although obviously they don't play the same position. But I just felt like, especially against Collingwood at the G on a big ground, he was going to be shown up for his lack of preparation. There were definitely times there where he looked heavy-legged and like someone that had not played much football in the past, 1.5 months. But there are other times where I actually was pretty impressed by his endeavour and some of his decision-making as well. So it was a bit of a mixed bag for me. I'm curious how he's going to pull up, from that game, whether he's going to be able to butter up in 6 days' time. He might be one that we look at replacing for Rankin. That probably doesn't happen, but I reckon if there's any concern about whether he's good to go for another game, 6 days' time, I think he's probably one that could make way. Otherwise, I don't know who it's going to be. But, yeah, I thought he was okay. He's just not at the level he needs to be, or what we would hope for at his age and development at this stage. And that's just, he hasn't had the runs in the legs. So,
well, look, he only
how
had
do you feel about it?
60% time on ground. He was clearly managed and played a little bit of that up at the forward line. So I think it was by design. I think, again, the way, Brownie, that was set up with having two ruckmen, having McAndrew and Toby Murray on the bench as the second ruck, who only played 30% of the game, time on ground, we almost have to pick a runner. And I think Saligo gives us a little bit of bite in the middle, but also can get a job done up forward, which is probably why they went with him. But I just didn't think it was going to be fit enough, to be honest with you.
Yeah, if they do keep him, I think they're just going to manage him, just build it up a little bit. He's probably got 6 to 8 weeks away from getting to peak fitness, I would have thought, with that sort of, stopping in his tracks for a few weeks there. But yeah, like Big Man said, it might be an option to give him a spell for Rankin, because that's going to be the tough one, isn't it?
Well, it is going to be the tough one. There's one, I hate being negative and I hate ragging on a player. But Rory Laird had 25 touches, 19 kicks, 6 handballs, 17 uncontested and 5 contested possessions, had a stoppage clearance, 8 intercepts. That all reads well. He only had 3 recorded clangers. Now, I don't know whether he's paying someone at Champion Data, but I counted far more than 3 clangers, because I thought that his disposal, and as you pointed out, Brownie, rightly before we started this, his impact on the flow of the game is becoming really noticeable now, don't you think?
It's just a really negative trait, because it really affects the way we move the ball. And if you've got, and that's why I like someone like Nate in that position, because they're always, they're evasive, so they can actually run with the ball, not just go back, have a think about it for 20 seconds and then kick it up in the air. So the ball quicker, and when they flatter and hit targets, not just kick to a contest. So, he does hit some targets, but they're normally 20-metre chips sideways, or not to any advantage. and by then he's stifled our run. So I think that is the biggest one, his disposal, but also the two, that he just stifles our run a bit. So I was absolutely shocked when we re-signed him at the beginning of the year. I thought a player of his age, who he could fall off a cliff this year and be dropped, halfway through the year permanently. Why the hell would you sign him for another year until the end of the year to see how he's performed? It just seemed like a really dumb decision by a club that should know better.
It almost seemed to me, big man, as if we had some spare cap space that we had to use to get to our minimum 95% spend, until we thought, we'll sign Rob for 3 and Laird for another one.
Yeah, I mean, the Rob one looks terrible in hindsight, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
But the Laird one, yeah, I think, it's probably more about just organising our finances, and it was more about that, and clearly we still see him as part of our team going forward. And when it comes to, as I've always talked about, is the mop-up work and his ground level stuff, he's probably still one of the best in our team in defence, but more and more.
Yeah,
as
but
we
he's
get more and
turning
more
him
skilled
over
players
off
in our team-
those. That's the sorry to interrupt you, mate, but he's now, like, for all the mopping up that he's doing, he's not actually hurting the team, hurting the opposition going the other way. And often he's kicking it back into a stoppage, or turning the ball over, or putting it into a dangerous spot, and it just doesn't seem to be able to create like he used to be able to.
For me, it's using him as one of our outlets in defence. It's almost got to the stage where I'd rather him just handball it to someone running past, because his short. I mean, he's never been a good long kick, but his short kicking is so pedestrian, and now he's turning the ball over too much as well. And they're not even risky kicks. Like, if he's taking risky kicks through the corridor, and I mean, I'd rather him not do that, because that's not his game and he's not a great kick. But if he was to do that, it wouldn't bother me so much. But these are just basic errors that someone, played 270 games now, should not be making. It cost us a goal again on the weekend. So I just got flashback to that Freo game where he cost like 4 or 5 by himself. So it's not a one-off. It's been happening for a while now. And at what point do we think that the negatives outweigh the positives, I guess, is the question. I know he's going to stay in the team, of course, for now. And his stats look great and all that, but you're right. If you look beneath that, there's some glaring issues there, and he just stifles our ball movement too much. So he's got to change, or we've got to change around him. And with the new stand rule, there's no better time than just to ask for the bloody hand pass from leading and get a Miller or whoever, Max Michaelani or someone who's got a bit of burst speed, run past, takes meterage. I don't want to see him kicking the ball. He's almost at Jordan Butts level now. I hate seeing him take marks in defence, because I'm just like, well, this is not going to go anywhere particularly interesting. It's just going to be a heat down the line, or it's going to be a short
Kyle Hartigan levels?
Jack Kelly levels. Just, like, please, someone else. I mean, when I groan now when I see him get the ball at halfback. I wish it was anyone else almost, I mean? Even Nick Murray, he at least can kick long and take a bit of meterage. But so something's got to happen here, because it's going to become a bigger and bigger problem as the year goes on.
Well, and I think a lot of it is all down to the fact that he's lost a yard, and he was never a quick player anyway. But I think when a player feels like he's under pressure, that's when the disposal starts to go. And Brownie, I just wonder whether, because he knows that he's slowing down a little bit and the game itself has sped up a little bit, I wonder whether he just feels like he's under the pump a little bit more, and he's not executing as a consequence.
Yeah, well, I reckon his execution's been going downhill for a few years. I don't think last year was the first year that I was concerned about it, but he's certainly got the backing of the coaching group and the players. So yeah, it's hard to see much is going to change. I'd love them to take not a risk, but take a change in tacking and give, like, Edwards or Nate a run through there. I reckon would just be so much more dynamic coming out of the fence, but I just don't think. I think the fact they signed him for another year when they had absolutely no reason to do it just means that he's their preferred option. based on stats, not based on actually looking into it in any detail to see what actual value we're getting out of him.
Yeah, well, we've got Hinge out at the moment. We've got Nankervis in the wings, who needs to find a spot in this side, because big man, as you pointed out the other day, he will go if he deserves to be in an AFL side, Nankervis, and I think it would be criminal if we lost a player of his calibre and his promise by retaining a bloke like Lairdy, who, I hate this, because he's been a great servant in the club, and when we didn't have any midfielders, he went in there and he did the best job that he could, and he was a standout player prior to that across half back. But he's never been quick. I think he's slowed down a little bit. I think his disposal as a consequence has suffered. I wonder whether his reactions are sufficient for the modern game, where it looks like, based on early games this season, it's going to be a very much a bounce off halfback kind of game. And I don't know, big man. I just I wonder whether the cliff's here for Rory.
Could be. It can come quick, or it can come, very late, where we see it with text. Or you can have a cliff and then you climb over it and, you're on the other end, like Tex did. So I don't see that probably happening with Lairdy. It's a good one, because like Nank, I think Nank would be such a good replacement for Laird. Yes, he gets a bit less of the ball, but he's much more dynamic. He's going to hurt the opposition more. Yeah, he might pop it up once or twice, but geez, Laird's doing that right now pretty well. So is it really going to make much difference? At least you got a guy who's going to take the grass and take players on. And I think with the way the game's changing, and I think, the way we want to play, I think he suits that game style. It suits our play better than Laird does. It would have made a difference, even on Saturday night, I think, having Nank there instead of Laird. So it's definitely food for thought. I think we still accept that Laird's going to be in the team for the short term, but no one's. Even at our club, which is a bit of a boys' club, I don't think Rob being dropped has shown that no one's 100% safe in their spot, and at some point it's going to become a big issue if we don't address it, and Lairdy doesn't address it.
Well, I'm just about to put the stats up of Laird compared to Bond, and obviously Bond didn't get anywhere near the amount of possessions as Lairdy. Huey Bond with 13 disposals, 10 and 3. A tackle, 4 contested positions, 10 uncontested, 3 rebound 50s to 4 of Laird, 5 stoppage clearances, and 5 to 8 intercepts. The interesting one that I didn't get up here, let's just add that in, a similar amount of clangers as well, but I felt like Laird's clangers were in areas that made us vulnerable. Like they were shit kicks, and they were still in the back half, whereas I thought, at least with Bond, he was making the play, the ball was generally getting further up the ground, and we weren't hurt as badly by Bond's efforts. And I thought Hugh Bond played quite well, Brownie.
I like the fact that he takes it on a bit, and I actually think he plays pretty tall in the air. He can take a mark against bigger opposition. He times his jump. I reckon he's just another one that hasn't had enough continuity. He hasn't had those 10, 15 games in a row. He's been in, he's been out, and he probably hasn't got to the point where he's confident about his place in the team. Will become better. He'll probably get to the point where he'll start picking up a few more possessions. But he does look like a player that feels fairly comfortable and generally makes good decisions. So whether he misses a target, that's everyone missed a target on the weekend. But I reckon he just showed some really good signs on the weekend, even though it was a low possession game, and he's pretty hard at the ball and hard at the player that he's on as well. They know he's there. So
it's very physical.
I like him, I think.
Yeah. Big man, I as they turn me purple and blow my head up as if I needed any help looking ugly. I feel like we could have Hugh in Laird's spot or Michael Annie in Laird spot and Hugh in as well, and bring Nankervis into that back half. I think it would look far more dynamic, don't you?
Yeah, I mean, maybe in previous years, I would question if they were ready, particularly Bond. But and I think we forget that Bondi's played 250 something less games than Laird has. Like that, obviously makes a difference.
Exactly.
But I don't think we'd lose much there. I mean, it feels like we're ragging on Lairdy a bit, but these are the key decisions you have to make, because if the team's healthy, then people have to miss out, and you're not performing. And I'm not saying Laird had a horror game, but geez, it was costly at times. So, it's hard to discuss this because we know he's not going to get dropped. If that makes sense. Like, we know Laird's not going to get dropped this week. It's more about what happens in 3, 4, 5 weeks if this keeps happening, because it will be built. The sort of the momentum behind this issue will build unless Lairdy does something about it and changes course. So probably something to talk about later on, but if it keeps going this way. But for now, I don't know if Laird's not going to be the one that makes way for Nank in the short term, I don't think. Because I think he's pretty locked into
it's a watch this
team.
Yeah, I think it's definitely a watch, though. I think, because I just had the impression that Lairdy was standing on the cliff's edge, whereas before we've been a little bit critical of him. I just felt like now he's also dropped a yard and he looked a little bit panicked and got caught and all that sort of stuff. So we'll put a marker in that. All right. Before we wind up, anyone else that either of you guys want to talk about?
Oh boy, put me on the spot there. Just thinking of all the names of the
About
team.
Ben Keys, even though it wasn't a massive possession game, breaking the goal hoodoo against Collingwood was pretty impressive, and the way that he did it was pretty impressive too.
Yeah.
My God, yeah. No, that was gold. I thought his second half he did sort of get into the game a bit, but just his effort and his work rate and effort every week is the same. Some days it doesn't go for him and he doesn't get as much of the ball, but I think he did a couple of crucial things in that last quarter that really helped. And it wasn't his best game stat wise, but I thought he worked into the game that second half pretty well.
Yeah.
I think I was going to say another one, boss, is, well, this is more of a group thing, but sorry.
No, they're messing around with my head on the bloody...
Oh, okay. Sorry,
on the chat. Because for people that don't know, if people reach a certain level of chat messages on the stream, they get certain control over us, and one of those is making us look like me and the people on camera, not you, big man, who are too shy for the camera, but the people on camera, they can mess with us and make us look like Megamind or make us look purple or all sorts of things. So, and they're having a good crack. There we go again. Oh, that's shocking. Please move on. I might have to turn that off.
No, there's just a couple more things I wanted to say. Yeah, number one was maybe the best game Nick Murray's played for a while. His aerial stuff was really good. Showed a bit more. He was jumping at the footy, going for marks. That was great to see. Just saw some flashes of the 2023 Murray in there, which obviously we haven't seen for a couple of years now. So hopefully that goes forward. The other thing is, they're discussing again, the whole three-headed monster, and Rewalt and King and stuff are discussing it, and like they don't think Fogg and Tex should play in the same team, and I'm just getting a bit sick of this discussion because
Jack Rewalt is the one. He seems to have this massive beanies bonnet about it, and it's like, mate, what are you talking about? They play such different roles, don't they?
Yeah, it just frustrates me because we've got two guys here that they don't kick massive bags every week, but because Hillthorpe's the one, But I thought even Falk had some good moments after a slow start, and obviously we talked about Tex before. He actually had a pretty tidy game, and I don't know why this is still getting talked about as like the reason we lost the finals. They always say, "Oh, it didn't work with the finals, so let's just throw it out." So yeah, well, how did you get to the finals? Well, it was a big part of what we did last year to get top of the ladder in the first place. And just because it failed in the night, it wasn't entirely their fault. You know, their midfield got killed in those finals.
Yeah.
You know, like there's more things than just the bloody tall forward issue. It just seems like it's a scapegoat, sort of a cop out for these journos and media people to sort of say, well, this is why the Crows lost. Where I don't think that's the case at all. And if anything, I think it's an advantage for us because there's not many teams that can have 3 players that are so dangerous around, you know, and towards the goal in the forward half of the ground. So, yeah, I just thought I'd just bring that up a bit here. Sick of hearing about how it's something that's not, you know, something we should not persist with because I think if anything, it's actually shown that it is a positive for our team. And I'm just sick of hearing like Rewalt. You're right, Rewalt. He's a bit of a muppet, isn't he? Have you noticed like some of the shit he's been talking lately?
At first, when he first started, yeah.
What was that, Brad?
I agree.
He's trying to do a Kane Corns, be a little bit controversial. I think it's just trying to create chat and get himself involved in conversations. Because I agree with you that whole 3-headed monster thing that's the least of our worries. Like that's not even concerned. So yeah, why? And some of the commentators do shut him down. To be fair, but he keeps persisting with it. He's been going with it late last year and all this year. So I don't think it's going to change. But at the end of the day, when we're getting results like we're getting with those 3, we're not going to change it, are we?
Well, and they play such different roles. Tex was up the ground for a lot of the time, and then elastic banding deep on occasions. Fogarty plays that real hustle bustle sort of lead up role. And gets a lot of unrewarded effort, I think. His strength will often keep the ball in the area, and you just can't knock his kick. And then we've got Thilthorpe, who's Thilthorpe. I mean, they're complete. It would be different if we had 3 Thilthorpes up there, but they're completely different players. I mean, it's a stretch to call Walker and Fogarty key forwards, to be honest, because neither of them are the big marking forwards.
No. Right. And you very rarely see the 2 of them together in a screenshot. There's a fair bit, like early in the piece, maybe you got Tex and Fog going for the same ball, but now they seem to really have worked it out that their running patterns are such that they're never within 20 metres of each other.
Yeah, exactly, Brownie. And I actually turned off the commentary last night. I'm not putting up with that shit. It's actually quite cathartic listening to it in silence. I'll be honest, it's not bad. But and I couldn't hear the crowd, the Collingwood crowd going nuts when that 50 was paid, which was even better when I watched the replay. That was hilarious. Speaking of which, god damn, like, did you guys listen to the post game with Kingy and stuff last night?
Well, David King was just trying to be controversial because he couldn't even rationalise what he was talking about, and the rest of the commentators, who were Vic-centric as hell, didn't agree with him. I mean, you've got to have someone standing the mark. The whole point of having that rule is to take an opposition player out of the game so that they're not advantaged by having an extra player dropping back. That's the whole point of it. And Kingy just wasn't picking it up.
And then they went back to it like half an hour later. Brought it up again. I'm like, it's amazing when we play Collingwood how they bring up these free kicks and everything against, like that paid to us, that are somehow the reason. They even said basically there was the reason we won, was that it was a game-changing moment. Oh my god, dude! There's like 120 minutes of the game. There was 9. And it wasn't even a direct 50 like to goal. Like we still had to, get the kick to Fog, and then Fog had to kick it. Like, just mind blowing how much they pushed that in the coverage. And I'm assuming they'll still talk about it in the media. I mean, it doesn't matter in the end. It's just the media. Who cares what they think? But geez, it was frustrating to listen to them just whinge on and on. I just thought, like, what, Kingy? What are you going for here, mate? There's nothing to talk about. Just mountain of
disappointing. Disappointing because normally I don't mind David King's stuff. He can be a bit full of himself, but I don't mind where he's coming from usually. But for some reason, whether he was the one that got tapped by the producer to make something out, I don't know, but it was just irrational what he was saying, Brownie. It wasn't. It didn't even make any sense what he was saying.
Yeah, I didn't understand it. I mean, at the end of the day, you can have an issue with the rule and say, I don't like the
Hmm.
rule, but to go on and say it had an impact on the game when the frees were there under the rule. So you can't argue with that aspect of it. And it almost says stand. It's not, it's not difficult. Sometimes they had 3 players at the area and they all ran off. Now, they obviously haven't been drilled and trained it and worked it out, but that's the club's issue. It's the rule's the rule. They've known what the rule's gonna be for weeks. If you want to battle that one, the club can battle that at the end of the year if they wanna have it changed, but how they can possibly say it had an impact on the game when it was umpired completely as it should have been, I just don't understand it.
And
Well
you know,
said.
I got to say that despite being a bit skeptical about some of the rules, and I'm not a huge fan of the stand rule to be perfectly honest, but that's another conversation. But I think the last touch rule that's been going in the SANFL for a few years now has just absolutely changed AFL footy. I love the fact that we're not bloody up in arms about a stupid deliberate free anymore. That's totally out of the game now. I felt like the ruck rule worked okay. We didn't see too many issues there. I felt the stand rule was really well adjudicated. And I actually felt like, and I reckon we said this last year as well, the first few games we were saying how refreshing it was to see the umpiring being umpired more or less by the book. And it seems the same this year, and I just wonder whether the umpires get too much feedback from AFL House about trying to manipulate the look of the game, and it fucks them up because I think their umpiring in the course of the opening couple of rounds has been pretty good.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think.
I don't reckon there was.
You go,
No,
Brian.
go, big man.
No, you go. You're right.
I was just going to say, I don't think there were too many really controversial decisions. The holding the ball rule seems to be now they pay it quick. You know pretty
Yeah.
much how they're going to pay it. There weren't too many surprises last night. Last
Yeah.
year, all year, it seemed to be they were umpiring it one way one week, and then they were umpiring it a different interpretation next week. Or even in the same game, you were getting one umpire with the one interpretation and one with a different interpretation. But I didn't notice that at all last night. I didn't, even though it was a Collingwood crowd, I didn't really notice the crowd going off about too many decisions at all. So I think it just looked like the umpiring flowed better. It was more like watching a Samford game than an AFL game.
Agreed.
Yeah, and like for a while now, I've sort of questioned boundary throw-ins because the stats show that just you don't get many scores from boundary throw-ins, even the ones in inside forward 50, but particularly the ones around the ground. They're basically useless. They just slow the game down. So I was actually for this change, and it seems like it's been implemented pretty well. The one difference with the SANFL is that the SANFL covers all the ground, whereas obviously in the AFL it's just between the arcs. So I'll be interested to see if they ever adjust it to be the whole ground, which I don't love quite as much because it means that if you have a shot at goal from outside 60 and it bounces out of bounds, then that's the opposition get the ball handed back to them. So it sort of stifles creativity a little bit. Whereas I like how it's positioned at the moment. I think that's the way to go about it. I mean, the AFL do a lot of dumb things, and they really stuffed up with the fixturing. But this is one thing where I think they actually got it right.
Look, and I think the issue is going to be, like I said, if I remember rightly, last year I made a comment or I had a sentiment about the umpiring early being umpired as the rules are written, and it was really refreshing. And then we get to mid-season and it's just a complete dog's breakfast again. And I honestly think, that that it's because they get too much chatter from the marketing department about how they want the game to look, instead of just letting the game stand on its own 2 feet and bloody adjudicate it properly.
Yes. No, I agree there. I was actually just reminding me, just bringing up the bloody fixture. Did you hear Justin Longmuir's commentary post-game of his game?
Yeah,
Yeah,
that was interesting that he came out with it right after a loss. But I think most people agree with the sentiment that if you don't play until round 1 and the team you're playing has had a game up their sleeve, they're going to have that fitness edge and also that sharpness edge as well.
Yeah.
So I think he made the point, and whether that was the reason they lost or they just ran out of legs, or whether they just it might have been pressure that got them. Who knows? But I think it's a valid argument that they reckon if the AFL want to look at that rule, they can't do it next year because of the test match against England is on that weekend, so they can't have a game at the G that weekend. So they're unlikely to change the fixture if all the games are going to have to be at Marvel. So we're probably stuck with it next year. But I reckon the way the clubs are, there's not one club that's in favour of the format. So I reckon they're going to be pushing for 2028 to have it changed.
See, I think
It's
differently.
so-
I think that they'd probably want a round of football on when the cricket's on, and what they should do is have games everywhere except Melbourne, which they can easily do. They can have 2 games on in Adelaide and Perth, and they can have the rest of them up north, which is the whole idea of the opening round to start off with. The alternative, the much more sane alternative, Brownie, is to stop bloody have an opening round and just play round 1, because it's absolutely ridiculous.
Or
Oh, it
hear
is.
me out here, boss. What about if you just have the opening round teams play each other in round 1 and the non-opening round teams play each other in round 1? So
Exactly.
the
That's
teams that have played
exactly.
a game, why are we playing? I'm not going to go on a tangent again, but I just don't understand why we played to play Collingwood who have already played a game. It's even numbers. Just switch them around.
Yeah.
It's so easy, and for whatever reason, it's like they ignored that whole thing. Look, it rings a bit hollow now because we obviously beat Collingwood, and Melbourne beat St Kilda. That was another team that beat an open round team. But even in our game, you could see that it was having an impact on us in the final term.
Of course it
That we
was.
were running out of legs. So I think there's enough.
The bigger issue is the fact that. Go on, mate.
Okay. No. I'm yapping on, sir.
I was going to say the bigger issue is really that it's a letdown the first week of football when there's not 9 games. That's really the bigger issue. Whether there's an advantage or not, it's just ridiculous when you've got the biggest game in the country and the opening round you've only got 8 teams playing. Just that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. And would someone be able to ask the AFL and the guys in charge, how come, you got all the northern teams playing, but how come the only teams playing the northern teams are Victorian teams? Where was Freo's invited to opening round? Why? Do you know what I mean? Is it just a coincidence that the only teams that are missing are from WA and South Australia?
Well, and this is the thing.
It blows my mind.
The whole point of it was to, G up the northern market and combat the Las Vegas bloody NRL thing or whatever. You can do that anyway. You can do that by just playing those games as part of your first round. You don't have to have a specific round just for them. You can just have it as part of that round. But you can still have the other teams playing it.
Friday night, the Thursday. Yeah.
And it just there's got to be, as you said, big man, the fact that there's no WA or SA teams playing. To me, it's just I don't know, something weird about that. But I'll tell you what. The fact that my earbuds are starting to run out of batteries tells me that, big man, you've been crapping on for way too long, and we've been going for nearly 2 hours.
I know you said
start
you
a
wanted
bit
a
late.
more concise, tightly packaged show, mate, and you forgot that I'm part of it. So
Oh, look, it's been good tonight after a rocky start. So apologies for the start. We'll tighten that up during the week and be back to our smooth as silk production qualities next Sunday. But look, thanks to everyone who's joined us on Discord and YouTube. We really appreciate it. Thanks to Arab for coming on board and having his say. If you are listening on YouTube and you haven't yet and you've enjoyed our content, please like and subscribe. And I would urge you to join our Discord community. It's a really good group of people that get around the Crows. For those who are in our Discord, don't forget we are running a Discord best and fairest this year. So put in your 3-2-1 votes. I've fixed the thing. So if you previously put in your best and fairest votes before about 8 o'clock tonight, you'll have to do it again because it broke and it didn't record, but now it's all fixed and the interface is a lot easier. So get into Discord, put in your 3-2-1 for who you thought were the best 3 players for the Crows during the course of the year, and Macca and I will discuss those results on Tuesday Night Live, which surprisingly, Brownie, is on Tuesday night at 8:30, and we will talk a little bit more about the Crows game and also preview what should be a pretty big match against the Bulldogs. So we might just finish up, Brownie and Big Man, with your selections for next week. Brownie, first of all, what do you reckon?
Well, if you'd asked me about a week ago, I would have said Bulldogs by 70. I was pretty negative about the Crows this year.
You were.
Jeez,
you were.
Injuries.
No, I've been having to talk him down off the ledge, Big Man.
Yeah,
Really?
I've been thinking about it. Don't worry, it's been a tough pre-season. But on the back of that, even though we only beat Collingwood, I still I've got a bit more confidence that we could be competitive on the weekend. I'm probably going to say Bulldogs, but only by 10.
Bulldogs by 10. 10 points?
Yeah, I think 10 points. I think we'll be in the game because it's the home game. And we obviously are in reasonable nick, but I just think, gee, they look like they've grown a leg this year. I don't know whether that's it. They can be a bit schizo, so we might see a different Bulldogs Friday night. But I hope we win by 5 goals. But I'd say Bulldogs by 10 points.
Big Man, your thoughts?
Was it tips or selections? When you said selections, like, did you mean team or did you mean tips?
No, I just asked what you think about next week's game versus the Dogs.
Like, because I was gonna say like what we do with ranking, but I'll leave that to you and Macca's show on Tuesday. But
I think you should. You can't have all the fun.
Nah, true. Yeah, I'm sort of with Brownie. I think, sometimes you see teams start like a house on fire each season, and to be fair, we were probably one of those teams last year that you just did not want to play early days. And it seems like Bulldogs are that one of those teams this year. Sydney's probably another, although now they've copped injuries. I'm not saying that the Bulldogs are going to be like amazing this year. I think they're definitely showing that they're definitely a finals team. But, it's a long season, and chances are they'll drift off at some point, which they tend to do. But they are really well drilled at the moment. And I just wonder with the 6-day break whether we're going to be in the shape to be able to like match it with them. I'm not saying we're no chance, because absolutely we are. But I don't know. When I tip against us, we tend to win. So I'll just do that again, eh?
Look, I just want your bloody selection, not a bloody 3-part miniseries, mate.
You know me by now. That's what you get, mate. I'll go the Bulldogs by a few goals, but that usually means we win. So take that as you will.
I can't believe the negativity from you two lads.
Hey, mate, I'm probably mimicking you last year.
I was up and about last year until I wasn't.
At the end, not at the start.
Not at the start, no. But no. The thing for me is the Bulldogs don't travel well here. They don't play well here. I can't remember the last time they won a game in Adelaide, to be honest. And Luke Beveridge will probably make 19 changes from a winning side because he likes to put his mark on proceedings. What I'm looking forward to is the Darcy v Thilthorpe. Not that it'll be a matchup, but the two young bulls at either end, to see how we stack up. The matchup with Darcy will be an interesting one because I guess it'll be Butts first up, but who knows? But Macca and I will certainly try to drill down into that on Tuesday night. So if you are listening, Tuesday nights at 8:30, we'll go through all that stuff. In the meantime, a great audience, nearly 30 in the crowd tonight on Discord. I think we had like 900 chat messages last week on Tuesday Night Live. So people don't mind having something to say, do they? But thanks everyone for joining us. Probably. Brownie, good to have you back, big man. Good to see you again, and we will see you again for the wrap show next Sunday night at 8:30, and we'll see you for the next CrowCast on Tuesday night with Macca. Until then, be safe, be good, and we'll see you later on.
See you guys.
Thanks, boys. See you next week. Bye.